Right now, across the global enterprise landscape, roughly 72% of firms are already running agentic AI systems in production. But underneath that momentum is a massive void. Nearly 60% of those organizations are operating these autonomous systems with zero formal governance. You can see the consequence in this Gartner projection. While the adoption rate continues to climb, we are looking at a growing 40% cancellation risk for these projects by 2027. Add regulatory frameworks like the EU AI Act, carrying penalties up to 35 million euros or 7% of global revenue, and the financial exposure becomes staggering. The enterprise has eagerly handed software the ability to reason, decide, and act without asking permission first, but the necessary safety net is missing. To understand why this is so dangerous, we have to look at how software breaks. Traditional applications fail in predictable, easily testable ways: a null pointer, a server crash, or a 500 error. But this logic tree shows how agentic AI behaves differently. An agent fails creatively. It hallucinates a plausible but wrong answer, leaks sensitive data, or misuses an internal tool. Executing a chain of seemingly reasonable steps at machine speed, those creative failures compound rapidly. They surge past our static human review checkpoints before anyone can intervene. This represents a distinct shift in security. The failure happens when the agent successfully executes an action that is harmful or non-compliant. This architectural diagram outlines the standard enterprise tech stack. Teams often rely on these three primary defense layers to protect their AI agents, but these tools do not see the agent failure surface. Infrastructure security protects the host, the network, and the credentials. It does nothing to ensure the AI's actual output is safe or compliant. Observability tools have a timing problem. Traces and dashboards are useful for debugging, but they only detect an anomaly after the catastrophic action has already been executed. System prompt guardrails are weak by design. Asking a model to be safe is an advisory suggestion. The model can ignore it, misinterpret it, or be manipulated past it. The critical vulnerability in the modern stack is physical placement. None of these tools sit exactly at the output boundary with the power to say no. The missing layer drops in right here. This is runtime governance. It sits at the boundary between the agent's internal decision and its real-world action. To work, this gate requires strict specs. First, it must be inline and enforcing, meaning it can physically block a bad action. Second, it must be deterministic and fast, operating in under 20 milliseconds, so it never becomes a bottleneck. Third, it must be multidimensional, evaluating the input, the reasoning process, and the final output simultaneously. Finally, every decision must produce a durable, standard-mapped audit record detailing why an action was allowed. This transition from subjective trust to an auditable system creates a verifiable, tamper-evident record of compliance for every single decision. At this point, engineering leaders usually raise a major objection. Placing a strict, enforcing gate on every single AI action sounds like a way to stall deployment velocity. But look at this deployment velocity chart. The data shows the opposite. Organizations with mature, inline governance actually deploy AI agents 3 to 5 times faster than their peers. This acceleration happens because when safety is deterministic and provable, risk and legal teams no longer have to manually review every launch. The human bottleneck is removed because the guardrails are provably in place. A runtime gate automates the safety checks that usually stall production, allowing the engineering team to maintain high shipping speeds. AgentTrust translates these architectural requirements into a single deployable layer, the specific bridge needed to close this gap. It ships as a zero-dependency, embeddable gate that sits directly in line. It delivers sub-20 millisecond, 11-dimension evaluations, and outputs full ISO standard auditability for every action your agents take. As the enterprise scales agentic AI, putting this layer at the output boundary is the only way to avoid the 40% project cancellation wave and satisfy severe regulatory regimes. Close the governance gap, replace subjective trust with provable safety, and ship autonomous systems with the control required for production.